So I recently picked up the new PlayStation 5 Slim and I've been really enjoying my time testing out this console. So I've decided to make a video dedicated to 10 reasons why I think you should consider picking up a PlayStation 5 in 2024. Let's get on with it. So my first reason for picking up a PlayStation 5 in 2024 is a pretty obvious one. It's exclusive games. As someone that's only been using the Xbox this console generation, it's quite refreshing to have access to a range of different PlayStation exclusives. So I've been playing games such as God of War Ragnarok, Ratchet & Clank, Spider-Man, Demon's Souls. These are all games that I didn't have access to when I was playing on my Xbox. So it's been nice to go back and play those exclusives. I've only mentioned a few, but there are a lot of PlayStation exclusives that are worth playing, so that is my first reason why you should pick up a PlayStation 5. Moving on to reason number 2, and that is the controller. As someone that's predominantly been using Xbox, I was actually surprised at how much I liked the DualSense controller from PlayStation. I think the DualSense controller actually provides a lot of advantages over the Xbox controller. The first reason being that it comes with an inbuilt rechargeable battery, which to a lot of people is an advantage. This DualSense controller just seems to have a lot more advanced features and some gimmicky features compared with the Xbox counterpart. For example, the middle section of the controller acts as a touchpad, which can be useful when you have to use the on-screen keyboard. And the DualSense controller also comes with an inbuilt microphone, so you don't need a headset to talk with your friends, but I probably would advise picking up a headset for the best gaming experience. The DualSense controller does come with some slightly more gimmicky features, such as an inbuilt speaker, which I ended up muting straight away. I guess it's nice that it gives you the option to have sound coming out of your controller if that's something that you're into. And finally, I want to talk about the haptic motors in the DualSense controller, and that was the first thing I noticed when I picked up the DualSense controller, was that the haptics on this controller are significantly better than the haptics on an Xbox controller. The motors in this controller are able to produce a wider range of vibrations compared to the Xbox counterpart. And I do quite like the adaptive triggers. I think they're quite satisfying to use, so that's a thumbs up from me. So before we move on to the third reason, if you are enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have just hit 3,000 subscribers. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. So if you are enjoying this video, it would be very much appreciated to 1, hit that like button, and 2, consider subscribing. I try to make weekly tech videos, so if that's something you're interested in, consider checking out my channel. Let's get on with the video. So my third reason why you should consider picking up a PlayStation 5 is actually PlayStation Plus. So PlayStation Plus was actually a nice surprise to me. It's something that I didn't really know too much about, but essentially PlayStation Plus is a subscription that's very similar to Game Pass Ultimate on the Xbox side of things. You pay a monthly or yearly fee and you get access to PlayStation Online, as well as a catalogue of games, and the service only cost me about £85 for the first year, which equals around about £7 a month, which I thought was a pretty good deal. I believe that is actually less money than I'm paying for Game Pass Ultimate, which is surprising. And the thing that actually surprised me was how many games were actually available to me on the game catalogue. So my assumption had been that Game Pass Ultimate had always been the better subscription game service, but actually Sony must be stepping their game up, because there are actually a lot of good games on the game catalogue on PlayStation Plus. There are actually a large number of PlayStation exclusives that you can download from the game catalogue. So I think that a couple of years ago Game Pass definitely was the better service, but now in 2024 PlayStation Plus has definitely stepped up their game, and I still would definitely say that Game Pass does have more games, but PlayStation Plus game catalogue does have quite a lot of games, and it is something worth considering if you're going to pick up a PS5, especially the digital only version, because obviously you've got to download all your games. So my fourth reason as to why you should consider picking up a PlayStation 5 in 2024 is the fact that Sony have come out and released a PlayStation 5 Slim model, which I have here. So the PlayStation 5 Slim model actually fixes a number of issues that I had with the original PlayStation 5. The first one being the storage. So the storage on the PlayStation 5 has been increased from 825 gigabytes on the original PlayStation 5 to 1 terabyte on the PlayStation 5 Slim. So with the size of games in 2024, I think 1 terabyte is a more acceptable storage size. So another thing that they've improved on with the PlayStation 5 Slim model is the fact that if you buy the digital only edition, is that you're not locked out of using a disk drive. So I've bought the digital only version, but the disk drive is now modular, so I could in the future decide that I want a disk drive, go out and buy a disk drive and just clip it onto the side of this console, which is something that you couldn't do before. And finally, this is probably a pretty obvious one, but the PlayStation 5 Slim is quite a bit smaller and more compact than the original PlayStation 5. It's not quite as small as an Xbox Series S, but it is a lot smaller than the original PlayStation 5. It's definitely less intrusive when it's stood next to your TV. So my fifth reason as to why you should consider picking up a PlayStation 5 in 2024 is the price. So here I have the new PlayStation 5 Slim Digital Only Edition. I paid just over £300 for this console, which I think is actually quite a good price. What I mean by that is if you decided to go with an Xbox Series X, you'd probably be paying about £100 more, around about £400 for that console. And I am aware that the Xbox Series X does have a disc drive, and if you were to compare the PlayStation 5 with a disc drive, the prices would be more evenly matched. But in my opinion, the PlayStation 5 Slim Digital Only Edition is great value for money. And if you decide to buy the Slim version of the PlayStation 5 Digital Only Edition, you then have the option to upgrade that console and add a disc drive at a later date. So that is a really good option. And I am also aware that the Xbox Series S is less expensive than the PlayStation 5 Digital Only Edition. But even though I think this is a great console, you are getting a more powerful current gen game experience with the PlayStation 5, because with this Series S you are getting less powerful hardware than the Series X, whereas the PlayStation 5 Digital Only Edition has the exact same hardware as the disc version. So with this PlayStation you'll be able to play a lot more games at higher resolutions and higher frame rates than this Series S. So that is a reason to go with this console over this console. So my sixth reason as to why you should pick up a PlayStation 5 is the panel customization. So on the PlayStation 5 you're able to take off these white panels and replace them with various different coloured panels or different themed panels to change the whole look and design of your PlayStation 5, which I think is a really cool feature. So unfortunately at the time of filming this video I don't have any coloured panels to show you myself, but I will be popping some images on screen of some example themes or panels that you can buy if you buy a PlayStation 5. So yeah, if you like customizing your console, that's probably another reason to pick up a PlayStation 5 over maybe an Xbox. So my seventh reason as to why you should pick up a PlayStation 5 is storage expansion. So with the PlayStation 5, Sony have given you access to the M.2 slot. So you've got the ability to remove the default 1TB SSD and upgrade it with up to, I believe, 4 terabytes. The reason why that's an advantage to the PlayStation 5 is that if you want to upgrade the storage on an Xbox, then they've created a proprietary expansion card. So I still think that this storage expansion card slot is still a pretty decent way of doing things, but I do prefer the PlayStation 5's method of actually changing an internal SSD. In my opinion, it's a cleaner way of doing things because you don't have to have an expansion card always poking out the back of your console. There'll also be a lot more choice in terms of buying SSDs for the PlayStation 5 because M.2 SSDs are the same SSDs that PCs use. So there'll be a lot more choice on the market when it comes to picking up an SSD for your PlayStation 5. So my eighth reason as to why you should pick up a PlayStation 5 is PlayStation VR. So with the release of the PlayStation 5, Sony came out with their second generation VR headset. So if you're someone that's interested in playing or experiencing VR games, then picking up a PlayStation 5 and the VR headset might be one of the best ways to get into VR gaming. So even though Sony's VR headset is more than £500, in terms of VR headsets, it's still one of the better value headsets because you can end up spending around about £1,000 for a PC VR headset. And you also need to buy the gaming PC, which will be way more expensive than buying a PlayStation 5 and the Sony VR headset. So in terms of price, the PlayStation VR paired with a PlayStation 5 is probably quite a good and affordable entry point into the VR gaming world. So if you are interested in VR gaming, then that is another reason to pick up a PlayStation 5, because on the Xbox side of things, Microsoft doesn't currently offer a VR headset. So my ninth reason as to why you should pick up a PlayStation 5 is backwards compatibility. So if there's any old PlayStation 4 games, PlayStation 3 games, or even any PlayStation 2 games, you'll most likely be able to play them on the PlayStation 5. For example, Bloodborne, which is originally a PlayStation 4 game, I've been able to play on my PlayStation 5. And if you're a PlayStation Plus Premium member, you're able to stream PlayStation 3 games, which is nice to see. And another game that I've been enjoying on this PS5 is Siphon Filter Logan Shadows, which I believe was originally a PlayStation portable game, which I can now play in 4K on this PlayStation 5. So that is another reason to pick up a PlayStation 5 if there's any older PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 or any PlayStation 2 games that you want to play. So my 10th and final reason as to why you should pick up a PlayStation 5 is a subjective one, and it's that, in my opinion, the user interface on the PlayStation 5 is a lot nicer than the user interface on the Xbox. And so I know this is a very subjective reason, but just having a look at the main menu on the PlayStation 5, I think the whole design and usability of the PlayStation 5 main menu is a lot nicer than the Xbox. I do just prefer that on the PlayStation all the games are lined up along the top, and when you hover over a game that you're about to play, it fills the whole screen. And in my opinion, I think it looks a lot better than the Xbox UI design. The Xbox just looks a bit like 2014 Windows 8. So anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video on 10 reasons why you should consider picking up a PlayStation 5 in 2024. If you have enjoyed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. And if you have liked this video, be sure to drop us a like. It's really appreciated, and I will see everyone in my next video. And if you have enjoyed, there are going to be some videos that you could maybe watch if you want to carry on watching my videos. But anyway, I'll see everyone in my next video.